I want to tell you something that will ruin the steak sitting in your freezer right now. That $12 ribeye you were saving for Sunday. The ground beef you stocked up on at Costco last week. The chicken breasts you grill every Tuesday because your doctor said protein, protein, protein. None of it comes close to what a shepherd's wife in the Judean hills baked every morning 3,000 years ago. I'm going to show you a loaf of bread, named directly in Scripture, that carries up to 3 times the complete protein of the finest cut of beef you can buy. The verse is Ezekiel 4:9. Go open it right now. Take thou also unto thee wheat, and barley, and beans, and lentils, and millet, and fitches, and put them in one vessel, and make thee bread thereof. God didn't whisper that recipe. He dictated it. And by the end of this video, I'm going to share a detail about how the prophet actually combined those 6 ingredients, a detail preserved by a small community of Samaritan millers near Mount Gerizim that no American pulpit I've ever sat in has dared to mention. And you can bake it this Saturday with flour, dried beans, and lentils from your regular grocery store. Let me tell you how I found this. 2 winters ago, my younger brother Caleb collapsed in his kitchen in Tulsa. Hard event. He was 53. The cardiologist looked at us with that tired face and said the thing every American family hears now. High cholesterol. Too much red meat. Cut the steak. Take the statin. Caleb cried in the parking lot because he'd been doing everything the food pyramid told him since 1987. That night, I couldn't sleep. I opened my father's old Schofield Bible and landed, I don't know how, on Ezekiel chapter 4. God telling a prophet to survive on a specific bread for 390 days. Not meat, bread. I read that verse 11 times. Then I booked the flight. 3 months later, I was standing in a stone mill in the village of Kfar Qasim, watching an old Samaritan named Yusuf grind einkorn wheat between 2 basalt stones his grandfather had cut by hand. Yusuf didn't speak much English. He pointed to the 6 sacks lined against the wall. Wheat, barley, fava beans, brown lentils, millet, and the one Americans never heard of, fitches, what we call black cumin or nigella. He said one sentence I wrote in my notebook on the flight home. The prophet did not eat bread. The prophet ate every field at once. That is the secret the American supermarket has spent 70 years hiding from you. Here is what modern nutrition labs confirm, and you can verify this yourself at the United States Department of Agriculture Food Database. A 4-ounce sirloin steak contains roughly 22 grams of protein, but it's an incomplete amino acid profile for human cellular repair because beef is heavy on some aminos and thin on others. A 4-ounce serving of bread baked from the exact 6 ingredients in Ezekiel 4:9 contains, depending on the grain ratio, between 64 and 72 grams of complete protein. Every one of the 9 essential amino acids your body cannot manufacture on its own. The legumes fill what the grains lack. The grains fill what the legumes lack. God designed the equation 2,600 years before any Harvard nutritionist figured out what protein combining even meant. 3 times the protein, 0 saturated fat, 0 cholesterol, no hormones, no antibiotics, no slaughterhouse. But here's the question that kept me awake in that hotel room in Nablus. If this bread existed, if Scripture literally commands it, why has no American church, no Christian bookstore, no wellness doctor ever placed it in front of me? Why did I have to fly 7,000 miles to meet a 78-year-old miller before I heard the phrase Ezekiel bread said out loud as a real food? The answer sits in the archives of the American wheat industry. When refined white flour became profitable in the late 1800s, every ancient multigrain, multi-legume loaf became a commercial enemy. Mills consolidated. Bean flour vanished from shelves. By 1955, the bread aisle in your grocery store contained one grain, stripped of its bran, bleached with chemicals the Israelis banned decades ago. The 6-ingredient loaf God prescribed didn't disappear because it failed. It disappeared because it couldn't be shelf-stabilized, couldn't be mass-produced on a steel roller mill, and couldn't be patented. A food that heals cannot be owned. Therefore, it had to be forgotten. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, brother, I'm not flying to the West Bank. I'm not hunting down a Samaritan miller. I'm 71 years old and I shop at Kroger. Good. You don't have to go anywhere. Here's exactly how you bake this loaf this Saturday morning with items from any regular American grocery store. You will need whole wheat flour, 1.5 cups. Barley flour, 1 cup, found in the natural foods aisle, or ordered from Bob's Red Mill for under $5. Dried navy beans or pinto beans, 1/2 cup, ground in your coffee grinder into a coarse flour. Brown lentils, 1/2 cup, also ground. Millet, 1/4 cup, whole. And black cumin seeds, a single tablespoon. The Fitches of Scripture, available at any Middle Eastern grocery or on Amazon for about $4 a jar. Combine all 6 in one vessel, exactly as Ezekiel was told. Add 2¼ teaspoons of yeast, a teaspoon of sea salt, 2 tablespoons of honey, 1/4 cup of olive oil, and 1.5 cups of warm water. Knead for 10 minutes. Let it rise 2 hours. Bake at 375 degrees for 35 minutes. One slice, and I mean one thick slice, carries more usable protein than the 8-ounce chicken breast your wife grilled you last night. And it costs about 40 cents. Caleb has been eating 2 slices a day for 14 months. His last lipid panel made his cardiologist sit down. His cholesterol dropped 71 points. His energy came back at 54 years old the way he had it at 30. His doctor asked him what medication he added. He answered, Ezekiel 4:9. The doctor didn't laugh. The doctor wrote it down. Now listen carefully, because this is the detail Yusuf the Miller shared on my last morning in Kfar Qasim, the detail I promised you at the beginning. He told me every American who tries to bake this bread makes the same mistake. They mix all 6 ingredients dry and grind them together. That destroys half the protein bioavailability. The ancient method, preserved in the oral tradition of the Samaritan community and referenced in the Mishnaic tractate Chala, requires that you sprout the legumes first. Soak the beans and lentils in water for 12 hours before grinding. Sprouting activates an enzyme called phytase that breaks down the phytic acid, blocking mineral absorption. Without sprouting, your body absorbs maybe 30% of the iron, zinc, and magnesium in the loaf. With sprouting, you absorb over 80%. 12 hours in a bowl of water on your counter. That is the entire secret. That is the difference between bread and medicine. And not one commercial Ezekiel bread sold in American grocery stores sprouts all 6 ingredients the way Yusuf's grandmother did. They can't. It would cost them too much. But you can. In your kitchen. This Saturday. For under $10 total. Genesis 1:29 told us from the beginning that God gave us every seed-bearing plant for food. We traded that inheritance for a drive-through window and a pill bottle. We let them convince us that a cow raised in a feedlot was stronger nutrition than a loaf baked by a prophet's own hand. We were robbed, brother. We were robbed of our own book. You are not a patient. You are not a consumer. You are a son or daughter of the covenant that fed Elijah, sustained David in the wilderness, and kept a prophet alive for 390 days on 6 ingredients from the same soil Christ walked. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of those 6 ingredients, wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, or fitches, is already sitting in your pantry tonight? Tell me in the comments below. Just type the word. I read every single one, and I'm building a list of the pantries God is about to turn into pharmacies. If something in this video put a crack in what you thought you knew, subscribe. We are a small congregation of believers recovering what the food industry buried, one verse at a time. Next week, I'm opening the book of Numbers and showing you the bitter herb the Israelites carried out of Egypt. The one modern oncologists in Tel Aviv are quietly studying because it dissolves something inside the body that no drug has touched in 40 years. Don't miss it. Your grandmother's Bible had the answer the whole time.